Alright, I'm about to blow your mind with this one. So, I did some research a while ago, right? And at one point, Harley Davidson wanted to buy the Italian brand Ducati Motor Holdings. And the reason Ducati was even up for sale at the time was because Volkswagen Group, well, we know them as Volkswagen Group in America, Volkswagen, Volkswagen Group, they actually put Ducati on sale to fund, I guess, restructuring and, continue to push Volkswagen Group towards electric vehicles because of Dieselgate. Don't remember Dieselgate? This is when Volkswagen Group got caught cheating with the diesel cars, like cheating emission scandal, right? So this whole thing, all of Dieselgate, has cost the company over like $30 billion for the whole situation, all the aftermath of that, right? And they put Ducati up on the chopping block. So Harley Davidson stepped in with a bid to buy them. So yeah, let's talk about what if Harley Davidson bought Ducati, if it actually went through, because obviously it didn't, but yeah, let's talk about it.
Now, after Ducati went up for sale, this pretty much sent the motorcycle community into a frenzy, right? Because, who would have thought Ducati, this brand, the brand that's full of character, that burns through your wallet if you let it, but it's just a beautiful lust of Italian goodness that you're never satisfied from, right? Ducati, who would have thought Ducati would be up for sale? And at the time, Volkswagen was looking to raise over 1 billion euros by selling Ducati at 15 times its earnings of 100 million euros before EBITDA, which stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Ducati at the time brought in revenues of 593 million euros, which equates to around $662 million, and Volkswagen had a whopping $1.8 billion price tag on the company.
And apparently Harley Davidson executives saw Ducati still as a positive move forward, so they put in a reported bid of $1.6 billion. And being that Ducati was up for sale, Harley Davidson wouldn't be the only company to put in a bid for it. So you also had companies out in India that made motorcycles like Bajaj Auto, I think Hero MotoCorp also put in the bid, TVS Motor Company put in the bid, and there were also other investment firms that put in the bid for Ducati. But where we didn't see a bid come from was BMW, Honda, Suzuki. They didn't put in bids, and more likely it was probably because of the price tag that Volkswagen Group put on Ducati.
But the sale of Ducati ultimately, well, I guess luckily we could say, failed due to internal conflict at Volkswagen Group, because there were a good number of board members from Porsche and Audi allegedly that didn't want to see Ducati sold off regardless of the price. And it wasn't that Ducati had negative cash flow, but many stakeholders in Volkswagen Group didn't see financial benefit in selling off Ducati and its future potential. Plus, it's Ducati we're talking about, the Ferrari of motorcycles.
Now the question is, what if Harley Davidson actually bought Ducati, right? And the thing is this wouldn't be the first time that Harley Davidson actually owned an Italian motorcycle brand, because they actually bought MV Agusta back in July of 2008 for $109 million. And MV Agusta unfortunately came with debt, which most companies do. So Harley Davidson actually invested 60 million, I think at the time, euros.
My bad, folks. I meant to say 40 million euros, not 60 million euros, but at the time that equated to around $47 million.
And after all of that, Harley Davidson ended up selling MV Agusta in October 2009. Only had them for a short period of time. And that's mostly probably because of the recession in the United States at the time. So, Italian motorcycle brand MV Agusta, not to mention Buell motorcycles. Harley Davidson bought Buell. We all know what happened with Buell, pretty much wasted potential. And with all of this happening, it makes me wonder what would have happened if Harley Davidson spent $1.6 billion on Ducati. Would Ducati have just been eventually either sold or shut down just like previous circumstances? So the question is, or I guess the answer to that is, we don't know what would have happened if Harley Davidson bought Ducati, because obviously it didn't happen. But for me, if Harley Davidson did buy Ducati, I would have liked for Harley Davidson to leave Ducati as they are, and I guess work with Ducati or maybe share some of the technology and share some of the styling from Ducati, and maybe spin off a more young or futuristic, I guess, brand within Harley Davidson to, I guess, to appeal to younger riders versus just, I don't know, trying to change what made Ducati, because that's what happens with a lot of acquisitions and mergers, is that a company that ingests a company into its culture or tries to change that company, it never really works out, because a lot of the original people or the people that made the company get to where it's at, they eventually leave because things are just changing. Things are changing so rapidly, right? So it would have been a big question on what Harley Davidson would have done if they had bought Ducati. You know, if they had left Ducati alone, it probably would have worked out just fine, and you know, we would have seen more of Ducati show up or vice versa. But ultimately, it always comes down to what the purpose of the acquisition is in the first place, and we just don't know. But maybe we would have seen the ex-Diavel DNA go into like the FXDR, or the Multistrada into the Pan America, or the Monster and the Diavel styling and character into the Bronx, because Harley Davidson's starting to put all those type of bikes out. But well, obviously now with Zeiss, he's doing the rewire plan, they're starting to scale some of that back and focus more on the core audience of what HD is now versus, you know, younger riders. You know, they're focusing on the Pan America, but they're pulling the Bronx back. So all of this changing. So that's why I say, like, it would have been interesting to see what they do, because this 3 years ago, this was in 2017, so it's not like it was years ago, right? So it was in the not too long ago past. But a part of me would have liked to see just what would have happened, just out of curiosity, how it all would have turned out. And also from an, I guess, a stakeholder point of view, like, you know, if you own a Harley Davidson, you are a stakeholder in the Harley Davidson company. Not a shareholder, but a stakeholder. You have interest in that company the same way as if you know, have Ducati. So as a stakeholder of Ducati, how would you have felt? Because I know some of you out there have Ducatis and you're watching. I wonder how would you have felt if Harley Davidson bought Ducati? And as a Harley Davidson stakeholder, how would you have felt if Harley Davidson bought Ducati? And how would that all have intermingled? Because again, these are two totally different cultures that have come together. And I've seen comments on, I guess, articles when this was happening, where some people actually sold Harley Davidson motorcycles to get Ducatis and said that, well, if this happens, I'm never buying another Ducati. Or if this happens, I'm never buying another HD. So it would have definitely ruffled a lot of feathers, and it would have just been, I think it would have been one of the biggest shakeups in the motorcycle community that has happened in a long time. Because you don't really hear of, like, you hear of like tech companies buying smaller companies, right? Like Microsoft bought LinkedIn, and you know, Apple buys certain companies, or Snapchat buys companies, but you never really hear of a motorcycle manufacturer buying a smaller motorcycle manufacturer, right? Because really, you know, or maybe a motorcycle manufacturer buying a motorcycle accessory maker like Cardo or Senna, right? You don't really hear of that. So it would have definitely been a big shakeup in this vast but somewhat small community that we have. So I would like to know what you guys think about all of this in the comments. But either way, Ducati is not for sale currently. But again, it did come up in 2018, where Volkswagen Group was actually considering selling Ducati again, but luckily none of that's happening. But it is 2020, anything can happen. But let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments, and definitely don't forget to hit that thumbs up button to show your support and positivity, because, you know, positive vibes around here. But yeah, I'm very curious on what you guys think about that, because it definitely would have been, there would have been a lot of hurt. I would have been hurt because I'm a big fan of Ducati, and like I said, I just don't want to see them just get taken out, or something just the brain itself just falls apart because of an acquisition. But yeah, until next time, guys, I will see y'all in the very near next one. But thanks for watching as always. Peace.